redone my whole life by design, because it's like, yeah, where do you want to be in 3 years? But then I go, okay, based on where I'm going to be in 3 years, right? Well, then where are you in 1? Where are you in 6 months, et cetera? But it's like, okay, well, what does your current day have to look like, right? And so the way I've framed this up for myself is, in my current circumstance and my current, expectations of the things that I need to do on a weekly basis right now, what would the perfect week look like based on what I have to do? Like, what would my perfect day be for today, and based on all of the things that I have to do with my job, with all this stuff, with moving, right? How can I still create the perfect day with what I've got right now? And what I do is I build that right in my calendar. And so if you looked at my calendar, it's color coded for the whole day, and it's not perfect at the end of the day, right? But I go back and I tweak it, and I'm paying attention to that and saying, how can I make this day, the challenges that come with it, the best day that will move me forward to that life of design? So day of design right now is what I'm kind of focused on as well.
Man, that's so good. All right. And we're kind of getting deep in here, but I have to share this. My coach, Jens, who you know as well, he started by kind of challenging me with this, right? He's like, do you have a day, like a structure throughout your day? And I was like, nah, I kind of like to be, like loose about my schedule. And that was true about date nights too. Like I was especially strong about like, I don't want to put a date night in my calendar. I want to be spontaneous and come home with flowers and be like, let's go on a date. He's like, well, have you done that recently? How often have you done that? Right? Like, like coaching is so annoying. But the point is like, dude, I wasn't, like, because I was being spontaneous meant I wasn't doing that. Here's another example, is like vacations. My wife's family plans vacations like literally a year in advance. When I first like started dating her, it drove me nuts. They're like, okay, we're gonna go to Hawaii in October. I was like, dude, I don't know where I'm gonna be in October. But that's kind of the point, actually, is to put it on your calendar, and you will do that, right? Then as someone says, hey, what are you doing in October? Like, I'm going to Hawaii, so I can't do that. Like, it'll live there, and it will be there, right? So I've gone complete 180 on that, to exactly what you're describing. Is like, if you time block, if you plan kind of your things that you need to get done, oh my gosh, is it powerful? And it doesn't have to be not fun, right? Like, still date nights are still awesome, even if it's in the calendar. It just means they happen more often and more frequently. Like, they can still be spontaneous. You can be like, all right, date night, Marie, you choose what we're doing, but it's going to be Tuesday night at 6.
Yeah.
So, man, I get so much, like, you can see I'm getting energized. I get so much value out of hearing you describe walking backwards into what's the perfect day. That's such a cool way to say it, and a lot of value from just that alone. So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah. And to add, and we'll keep going back and forth.
But yeah, might as well. It's like, if you're
Real quick.
listening, sorry.
Yeah. So one more thing on this. As I did do this time block, and I've done it, then I fall off, and I've done it and I've fallen off over time. And I've been more consistent than ever now. But one of the reasons I realized that I was so resistant, because I was the same way, where I didn't like doing that. I liked seeing that empty calendar, because freedom was so important to me. I think freedom is a big value for a lot of people, especially real estate investors, right? They want that time, time freedom. And as soon as we start to block things for myself on the calendar, I almost felt like my freedom was slipping away, because now I have hard and fast things, especially on a weekly basis and next week. And it's like, oh, I have to go to the gym in the morning because it's time blocked. Well, I felt like I was losing my freedom. But if you've heard, I think, Ryan Holiday's book, Discipline Equals Freedom. And I've completely embraced that. On freedom, to me, is having complete control of what I want to do and not being a slave to the whims or the emotions that pop up in the moment. And that is sometimes why I failed to stick with time blocking, is because I wouldn't feel like it. And I would forget about that vision and that perfect life that I wanted to create. And so I would get stuck in my circumstance or my emotions. And I would say, I want the freedom to go watch Netflix right now, but I'm really giving up the freedom of a peace of mind later, and the freedom of the actual future that I want in long term.
Yeah. And I also love, one more thing I want to say about this too. We're kind of going deep, but I love that you embrace the now and still have joy in the now. So like, the argument against what we're describing, being future focused, is, well, that I'll be happy when, and that is a terrible trap, right? Like, you can fall into that trap of like, oh, I'll be happy when I get this job, or I'll be happy when I make $100,000 a year, or I'll be happy when, whatever, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's a serious trap and a dangerous place to live. So I think, probably one of the more important things too is this perfect day has to involve joy and kindness and the things that you really want to be and the person you want to be. It may not say on the calendar be filled with joy, or maybe it does, but enjoy the now. You have to enjoy the journey because you're building this life. It will never be built the way you wrote it 3 years ago. However, along the journey is the best part. So that's the
Mm,
trap that I just wanted to say out loud, that I love that you're like, man, I'm like moving and it's tough. And moving does suck, but you're seemingly enjoying the journey, right? Like that's so cool. So I
absolutely.
really wanted to highlight that as well. By time blocking doesn't mean you will be happy when. It means you're creating a perfect day inclusive of all of those cool things.